For today's training, we will be discussing Microsoft Copilot. So, what exactly is Copilot? It is the generative AI tool that the chatbot developed by Microsoft. So, it's based on the large language model, which was launched in February 2023, and it replaced the discontinued Cortana. So, some of the features of Copilot includes the efficiency. So, it can automate tasks by creating lesson plans, quizzes, rubrics, and other class resources. It also has data protection. So data is protected with the use of your NYIT Microsoft account. So the prompts are not saved or used to train the large language model. AI integration, so you can access ChatGPT and DALL-E 3 with no additional cost. And it has the also standards integration. So it allows educators to align content to over 5 million standards from 35 countries. There's also quiz generation, so you not only provides the correct answers, but also supports students with step-by-step solutions. And it gives you the feedback generation. So you provide additional feedback on student work in a meaningful ways with suggested AI feedback. Our favorite slides, Molly, our security concerns, la 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 la. Okay, so let's go into Chat Copilot. Here we have our Copilot tool. You can see that it gives you some examples of where to what to write. But first, in order to get to Copilot with your NYIT account, you want to go to copilot.microsoft.com and you'll be able to log in from there. So say, for example, you want to say, suggest some common questions that can be asked to get a retrospective started with my colleagues. So if I hit submit there, it provides you with different questions. So you can say, here are some common questions to kick off a retrospective with your colleague. What went well? What were the highlights of the project? What are the process tools that worked effectively? So it gives you some brainstorming ideas if you want to have a option or if you're having a meeting with your colleagues about a project that went well or did not. This could also be used if you see these questions. They actually can be used also for class surveys. If you want to have an exit survey for your students, you can actually ask these questions as well. It'd be a really great thing. One of the really great things that I like about Copilot is it actually gives you some examples, questions that you could ask later, or if you already have follow-up questions. So it says, for example, great, can you suggest some icebreaker activities? I would like to hear more about facilitating them. Do you have any good tips? So if I click on icebreaker activities, you can see it works out fairly quickly. And here are some really great icebreaker activities that you could do with your colleagues if you're in a new department or if you want to do them for your students. So, the two truths and a lie we've all done. You have an emoji check-in. This is actually a really great idea if you're doing a class over Zoom. Have an emoji check-in. Ask everybody to describe their current mood using an emoji. It helps you gauge the team's overall sentiment. There's a new one called Rose, Thorn, Bud, so that each person shares a rose, something positive, a thorn, a challenge, and a bud, an opportunity for growth for the project. One of the things to note about this is you do have some you can have a dislike. So if you don't really like the response that you gave, you could do it. Here's the copy, so it'll allow you to copy the response. But one thing that is very important to notice is that you do have a limit on the Copilot. So you can only give 30 or it will only give you 30 responses, I believe, per day or per session. So that's something to also be very mindful of. When you click over here, new chat, you can start a new chat, so it starts you from a new. One thing that is different than from ChatGPT to Copilot is Copilot does not have historical refresher or knowledge of your previous chats. So because I said to start a new chat, you notice that all of my other messages have gone away. So if you do intend on using Copilot for building out lesson plans or for any type of information, you definitely want to copy the content that you want to save and save it in a Word document. So one of the example messages I can send to Copilot is, Generative AI tools for students to use or for faculty. Can you create a 3-week course schedule of lectures and assessments for a course that will meet 3 times a week for So this is what's really great about this is that, and it goes by fast, so do do do. All right. So for the prompt that I provided to Copilot, I said I have developed a new lesson on generative AI tools for faculty to use in their classroom. Create a 3-week course schedule of lectures and assessments for a course that will be 3 times a week. Now, as a former faculty member myself, it was very difficult always to kind of do a mapping out of, okay, this is the end result and how do I want to get there? So what's really great is it actually provides a 3-week schedule with lectures and assessments. So week 1, intro. Here's an overview of generative AI. So here's the lecture topics. Here's your assessments. Day 2, generative model, lecture topic, assessment. Day 3, ethical considerations, lecture topic, assessment. So then hands-on with generative AI tools for week 2. So now we're going to be talking about the popular AI tools, installation setup, basic usage, practice, text generation, image generation. So week 3, advanced applications of future trends. So now we're talking about the lecture topics as well as the assessments. So it gives you this really rough outline of what you would want to talk over the 3-week span, as well as gives you the assessments that you would want to do. So one of the things that you could create is you could say, how can I incorporate guest speakers into the course? So when I click on this one, it goes by a little bit quicker. So do. All right. You can see that each week it provides a day 3. All right, so on day 3, you can have a guest speaker that talks about an expert of AI ethics to discuss its ethical implications. So then it talks about, okay, well, on day 2 of week 2, you could bring in an expert who uses text generation tools in their work. Day 3, you could also have a guest speaker about an artist or a designer who uses image generation. And on week 3, it looks like day 1, you actually can have a guest speaker from a field where generate AI is making significant strides, such as music, gaming, healthcare. Or you could, on day 2, you could invite a futurist or researcher focused on emerging trends in AI. So it gives you some tips as well to incorporate guest speakers. So once again, it does provide you a lot more information on each one of these. So you can say, what are creative ways that I can involve guest speakers? How can I find relevant guest speakers or relevant experts to my course? That might be actually a really great question. Be like, okay, great. How can I add them? How can I utilize these users? Where can I find them? Do, do, do. So what's really great is it gives you 7 areas that you could actually talk. So it allows you to leverage professional networks, industry conferences and events, online communities and forums, publications and research papers, collaborate with companies, use expert databases, social media blogs, and then it gives you tips on reaching out. So it's really great that it provides you a lot of this information that it's kind of almost having a personal assistant at your side when you're thinking of the brainstorming stages of these ideas.